There are lots of things that governments do, but we can put pretty much everything into four categories. So if you have this star sheet, that would be the best way to organize the information that I'm going to share with you. And some of these things you might already know, but it's good to get it into one place so that you have a basic understanding. All right. So the first one that governments do is some kind of defense from different sorts of enemies. So you can fill in that star. Um, Also, setting laws is another thing that governments do. Separate category, though, is that those laws have to get enforced. They have to get made sure that they're followed, or else what's the point of setting those laws? And the fourth category is services, things that the government provides, serves to the people. So let's look at some examples. For defense, okay, that would be like the military. Uh, Not every government has one of these, but these are some kinds of ways to defend. You could also think of like spies that don't really fit into any, not really the army, not really the navy. But one that you might not think of is the US government provides the weather service, a lot of the satellites and things that even TV companies use to check the weather. And you can think of the weather as sometimes an enemy, especially if it's something like a hurricane. So those are some ways that government provides defense from things that might be a problem for people inside their borders. Okay, so setting the laws, that would be things like speed limits that get set for the roads. The government might set a voting age or other rules about voting. Taxes is another one. The government can decide what the amount of taxes should be, who gets taxed, that sort of thing. And another money one, is there a minimum amount of money that people should get paid for doing their job? So those are laws that can get set, but there's no point really of having those laws unless you have someone to enforce them. We'll get back to that. So services that like tax money goes to is things like roads, fire trucks, fire department for helping to put out fires. That's another thing governments do. Another one you might not have thought of would be inspecting of food, like grade A eggs. The government is providing those because the companies, may not be trustable. Can't trust them to say that all their food is good. Someone's got to make sure. And another one you may not have thought of: schools, or at least public schools. Public schools are given by the government, again, with some of that tax money and other laws get set about schools. Okay, about the enforcement, no point setting those laws without like police to make sure that the speed limits are being followed, courts to make sure that things are being forced correctly. The police can't just pull over anybody that they want. You need courts and judges to make sure that it's being done fairly. And if you have taxes, you've got to have tax collectors because you can't expect people are just going to pay exactly just the right amount that they're supposed to pay. There are some other little points open for these stars that we could fill in maybe during class with some other examples, but hopefully this is enough to give you a basic understanding about things that governments provide.